السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته داوديال dhegeystayaal meel kasta joogtiin adduunka barnaamijkeena cusub oo la yiraahdo Somali Wayne podcast ku soo dhawaada magacayga Maxamed baa la dhahaa maanta muxuu ahaa studioga waxa la joogo Maxamed oo muxuu ahaa podcastiga maanta inala soo hagaajin doono oo daadihin doono af Soomaali lagu dhahaa iyo producerka asagana magaciisa la dhaho Maxamed saddex Maxamed baa meesha isku imaadeen ma sha Allah waxa idin soo daanina barnaamij gacani lagu taagtiin yeah ma sha Allah introduction introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, my name is Mohammed. You already did my introduction, but there's three Mohammeds essentially. And the format, I guess, somewhat of the podcast is that I don't speak that good Somali. I'm not going to claim that I do. I never did claim. I'm just going to speak my regular, calm, relaxed conversation. I'm not going to make a fool of myself. Mohammed can speak Somali way better than me. So that's where we're going to go.
Maana af Somali waxa ka soo baxay jaamacadda la foolaha ka soo baxay oo luqadda Soomaaliga ah muxuu ahaa dictionary ina qoray Soomaali dhaho no joking that's I have no idea ana xataa Soomaali walaalayaal af Soomaaliga aqaano waa intirista aqaano alxamdulillah kala dad badan ka fiicanahay dad badan waa fiican yihiin.
Okay, let's clarify something. I know you have structure to it, but I just want to point something out. When the older Somali people make fun of the younger generation for not knowing Somali. Who's to blame for us not knowing Somali?
Yeah, dambi iska laha.
Yeah, dambi. Is it us for not knowing, or for them for not teaching us, or for the older people for fucking up the country?
Ma after dib haloo dhigo laakiin muxuu ahaa warunta horta hore yaa qaladka iska leh si kale hadda u bedelno su'aasha
stop blaming the young people, man.
Ingiriiska xoga kelmada adaga ku jira muxuu ahaa su'aasha nu weydiisay waxa waaye yaa qaladka iska leh
Exactly.
Soomaaliga inay ciyaalka adiga camal ciyaal mateeda nin weyn baa tahay waxa ka wada ciyaalka kale oo ciyaalka xaafadda Somali weyn ma lahaa say wallahi kids oo af Soomaali aqoonin oo dad badan kamid yihiin yaa qaladkaas iska leh mawaalidka iska leh mise waxa iska leh muxuu ahaa dadka laftigooda.
I think it's the older generation's fault, man.
Sidee ku tahay
because listen, your responsibility is to your children to teach them where they come from
صح
and to let them experience their culture. Okay? if every opportunity they try to speak Somali, you know how many times I got roasted for trying to speak Somali? عادي Somali would just
هذا مالنا وحا مقله وحا هذا فرت كفيق إن هذا رتم كذا وحا هذا فرت فيق
Isn't that how you say it?
فرت فيق وحلا فيق ويده.
You see? Okay.
كفيق وحواي.
Listen, and when that happened, you guys all laughed at me, right? Okay. How do you think that's going to make somebody else feel to try Somali more? We shut things down.
I think you were confident that high.
Yeah, it's not going to. I don't care. Qosl doesn't do anything to me, but somebody else, they'll say, "Yo, I'm never doing that again. I'm not looking like a fool."
Especially dadka ciyaalka yar oo hadda rabaan in af Soomaaliga isku dayaan. oo markasta lagu qoslo. You're absolutely right.
You make the person feel like they're cultural appropriating their own culture.
Ma horta kugu raacsanahay waalidka door weyn qayb weyn ay ka qaadanayaan cunuga hadduu af Soomaali dhan aqoonin qayb weyn ay ka qaadanayaan laakiin muxuu ahaa iyagana cudurdaarka u subinayna waxa waaye ciyaalka meeshii soo dhaxgeliyeen ka badan waxa la dhahaa Soomaalida waxay ku mahmahdaa biyo ka badan way ku qaadaan maal laha wax sax ma leh which means you know environmentigaaga oo ka adag tahay so waalidka hadduu maanta dhan cunugiisa af Soomaali ugu la hadlayo guriga laakiin public school u dirooyo
he has to speak English
guriga isla markaa markuu uga baxo how you doing lagu bilaabo
It's already you already lost.
waxa ka badan environmentiga ka badan deriska ka badan waa waalidka already wuxuu ku jiraan negative ku jiraan moogtahay laakiin waa run because we've seen waxa aragnay ciyaal oo isku fac ah oo midna af Soomaali ku hadlayso iyo Ingiriisi yariis ah iyo midna Ingiriis ku hadlayso laakiin wuxuu ku tusaysaa gurigooda waxa lagu hadlo laakiin labadoodaba hadhoodii waxa dhici karto damore si wanaadaan inay af Ingiriisi kaliya ku hadlaan.
But being bilingual is also like it's a skill. And most of the say wallahi generation or myself included, we can understand Somali perfectly. We know what people are saying, we know what they're talking about, we're not lost. True. But when it comes to reciprocating and replying in Somali, 9 times out of 10 we'll get roasted. You get out of here, you get made fun of, and then you'll never want to speak Somali again. So again, it's the old people's fault. end
Ma
of
haddana-
conversation.
haddana-
Done.
haddana-
It's old people.
I'll tell you something oo muxuu ahaa that will make you feel good. Af Soomaaliga haddeer si hadda u fiirisid. Af Soomaaliga horta hore halis uu ku jiraabo. Soomaaliya dadka joogo just watch waxaad daawataa video dowladda Soomaaliya wasiir hadlooyo ama muxuu ahaa ama qof oo Soomaaliya joogo hadlaayo dhageyso. Kelmadahooda waxaa ka buuxo kelmado Ingiriis ah oo lagu daray gareena waa respect gareen. muxuu ahaa
They just add something, some Somali seasoning to it at the end of
kelmado
it.
Ingiriis ku hadlayaan muxuu ahaa markaasi gareena ay ku darayaan. For example waxay leeyihiin dadka Soomaaliyeed waa inay dowladda respect gareeyaan. respect gareeyaan.
That's not a real term.
That's not a kelmad Soomaali ma aha. Erey Soomaali ah ma aha. dad badan oo waay arag ah oo aqoon-yahan ah baa maanta af Soomaali wuxuu ka hadlooyin oo jajabsan oo wixii ka tahay
linguistic style. It's basically like instead of Ebonics, it's Somalianics. It's just like
Ebonics
it's African American language. English jabay, yeah. It's like slang, yeah.
Wasaasoo kale.
So
marka dadkii oo waay arag ahaayeen oo aqoon-yahanka isku sheegayeen oo yani wasiiriin isku sheegayeen wasaaradda iyo prime minister iyo maantana wuxuu soo gelinayaa kelmado oo
that's not really legitimate Somali. It's just random.
marka Soomaaliya marka that should make you feel good because iyaga laftigooda xaaladooda waxay tahay dadka oo alla ilaahay dadka ilaahay inuu xariisto oo Somali fiican ku hadlaan.
So what kind of topics did you want to talk about?
What are we going to talk about today? Horta 2020 ka bilaawayna. 2020 episode kugu horeeyay oo muxuu ahaa podcastigan waxa horta hore ka fikiraynaa ama dib ugu noqonaynaa. So far 2020 wali ma dhamaanin inta hartana ilaahay ha nooga dhigo bashbash iyo barwaaqo.
Amiin.
Muxuu ahaa laakiin so far 2020 wixii dhacay labada wax ugu waaweyn oo dhaceen waxa kamid ah dadka ugu yaraan oo muxuu ahaa reer galbeedka Mareykan joogaan arinta ugu weyn horta hore adduunka dhan ka dhaxeyso waa coronavirus iyo tan labaad aan rabno in hadhowda ka hadalno waxa waaye buuqa madowga iyo cadaanka Mareykan ka dhacay racismnimada iyo Minneapolis ninkii madowga lagu dilay George Floyd iyo arrimahaas aan rabno inaan maanta ka hadalno xogaa marka coronavirus aka bilaawno.
Two heavy topics, man. Two heavy topics, but yeah, let's go.
Coronavirus
Xagee
ka imaatay marumba ma bemba.
Listen,
waa maxay coronavirus?
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not somebody but there's a lot of truth to things. You know, I personally believe that everything is planned. Governments are all aligned. They all work together. They're in cahoots. And we're just average citizens that kind of have to go with the flow of things. I think personally, coronavirus may have started off as an accident in a lab somewhere in China, but then there's a famous quote by a famous president. I'm not a dictionary. I can't pull it out of my head. But there is a famous quote by a famous president that you can look up. It basically says, "You never waste a good accident." So basically, this may have started.
That's a very interesting quote.
This may have started off as an accident, but it ended up benefiting a lot of people and a lot of corporations, and a lot of governments, and a lot of countries. It ended up benefiting people to an extreme degree. Amazon is reporting major billions of profits.
Amazon, Facebook,
everybody,
Apple.
all these companies are reporting record highs. If you listen to Trump, the economy is doing really well. All this stuff, but
stock market is
stock market is good. The point I'm trying to make is that when you look at things, there are no bad accidents when it comes to a global scale like this. I think they're trying to push a certain agenda behind it. And me personally, I believe that there's connections with the world standard income, basic income for the world is tied to it. There's a lot of things that is tied to coronavirus. But on an individual level, coronavirus has taught me personally that the old structures and systems that were in place to protect us are meaningless. There's nothing really there. Instead of people living paycheck to paycheck, the government is living paycheck to paycheck.
Government is broke.
Yeah, government's broke. It took a month. The government's like, listen, we're shit, man. We gotta shut it down. You know.
And you said something very, very interesting, which is maxaa dhahday
never waste a good accident.
a good accident.
Yeah, never waste a good accident. And
That's-
this is to the
that is-
benefit of
that
everybody,
is
man.
waxa waaye waa horta hore yani dhacdin oo qalad dhacay
Don't waste it.
hadda yactirin
What-
ama hadda
yeah.
yactirin yi ka
Benefit from, yeah, don't look, kafeeda.
so inkastuu ahaa accident inkastuu ahaa wax loo dan lahayn
Yeah.
faa'iidaha laga soo saaro faa'iidada laga soo saaro in waxa waaye dowladaha oo awoodooda sii badiyaan
Mhm.
controlkii dadka ku hayaan oo sii
Exactly.
bato
Restrict people's rights more.
and xuquuqdaha oo laga yareeyo
Yeah.
horta hore maya that's I've never heard of that quote horta hore wallahi
Yeah.
waa very very interesting
Yeah.
never waste a good accident yeah
Telling you, man.
when did an accident become good it depends on who you
It
are
depends on who you are.
ha
Listen.
haddaa dowlad tahay
Listen, I don't want to.
accident faa'iido inay ku tahay dhici karto.
I don't know how controversial we can get here.
Ah.
So basically, what I meant by no bad accident, don't waste it, is basically Bush was on his last term of presidency, right? And he was doing terrible. Then a war happened, or a quote unquote accident happened.
Yeah
9/11 happened.
Yeah.
He got a new term. No president wants to inherit a wartime. You know? So that's what a lot of people, even currently with our president in office right now, people are worried about is that
coronavirus might be
his excuse for a
Trump u
third term.
shaqeyso
There's tragedy. There's a war. My whole thing and perspective about the world is nothing is an accident, man. Everything is planned.
maya
Conspiracy is true.
horta hore aniga horta hore coronavirus siduu ku bilaabatay waxay nagu akhriyeen horta hore all of the news articles
It's not
March
possible.
April iyo March
Yeah.
iyo May xataa waxaa maqlaynay coronavirus waxay ka imaaday qof Chinese ah oo cunto qaldan cunay cashadiisa oo intuu cuni lahaa chicken iyo bris
Yeah.
iyo hilib ari this guy went
He was adventurous. He was adventurous, man.
bad uu soo qaatay
He
bad
was
ma laha
adventurous. He was
bad of
adventurous.
Somali maxaa lagu dhahaa
I have
But-
no idea.
bad waxa waaye kibille
Yeah.
kibille waaye bad kibille uu soo qaatay oo duulooyo uu soo dejiyey uu cunay
How?
midna wuxuu soo qabtaa la dhahay rat dooli uu soo qabtay isla markii dooliga asagoo karin xataa uu cunay coronavirus meeshuu ka imaaday
Okay.
that's what they said
So you legitimately
marka
want to
dadkaas
believe a government that can't accurately pinpoint their case numbers of coronavirus. You want to believe them that can't even accomplish that, but they want to tell you where the source is.
no
of something?
Chinese government iyaga ma
It's
wadhihin
not possible, bro.
taas iyaga ma
They
dhihin taas
did
dadka
that in
kala
a
dheheen.
lab. There was a leak. There was an accident.
that's worse taasaa kasii xun
Yeah.
laakiin newska iyo dadka adduunyanaha muxuu ahaa
The truth that we're sold.
that people were
somebody
talking about
ate it.
BBC
Yeah, somebody ate
CNN
it.
and all of the big news companies waxay sheegayeen coronavirus meel oo cunto hilibka lagu kala gato
Yeah.
uu ka imaaday xayawaan uu ka soo baxay xayawaanka loo galay xayawaankaasaa bin aadan cunay markaas way saas ku bilaabatay sheekada so basically maanta adduunka dhan wuxuu u qasan yahay
Just
qof
because of that.
baa cunto qaldan cunay that's how messed up this thing is man
No.
and
I mean,
muxuu ahaa
like,
yeah it's crazy
yeah.
si hadda u fiirisid hadda ka hor waxaa la dhahay markii dhacday xanuunkii la dhihi jiray SARS
Yeah.
oo dhacay 2005
H1N1 flu. and all that,
H1N1
yeah.
iyo SARS waxaa la dhahay dowladda China they banned waxay istaajiyeen muxuu ahaa in dadka suuqyaashan camal inay furaan suuqa xayawaanaadka lagu kala gato inay furaan waa laga istaajiyey way xireen
They stopped the markets.
ha
Oh, okay.
mar labaaday fureen
Okay.
mar labaaday dib u fureen suuqa lagu kala gadanayo dooli iyo kibille iyo mas iyo lagu kala gadanayo mar labaaday dib u fureen
Okay.
mogtahay marka suuqaas hadda ka hor waaba la hubay ba horta xanuunka la dhihi jiray SARS
It came from
suuqaas camal oo ka
they
imaaday
tracked it down to
waa la
there.
ogaa
Okay.
ha
Mm.
hadda xanuunka marka dadka waxay ku qiyaasayeen inuu saas camal hadduu laab ka imaaday
They didn't learn their lesson. They came from the same
okay,
place
imagine.
again.
haddii uu kan coronavirus hadduusan ahayn xanuun ka imaaday xayawaan oo ka saa dhahoosid laab inuu ka imaadaa dhici karto iyagoo wax test suubinayaan hadduu xayawaan ka imaanin xanuunka soo socda xayawaan uu ka imaanaa Chinese-kan cuntadii cunayeen waa cunto qaldan
Well,
cunto qaldan waaye
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
before you go on
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like inaa aniga dhahooyo dadka indhayartaa qaldan ama cuntadii cunayina qaldan
sounds like it, man.
No, man.
Sounds like you're passing
No.
a lot of judgment, man.
no I'm all for muxuu ahaa dadka inay dhaqankooda haystaan
Yeah.
cuntada jecel yihiin cunaan
Yes.
waxaas waa u dagaaltamaa waa wax waa bini'aadanka xuquuqdeeda ka mid tahay
You don't want nobody
And-
taking away your rights.
exactly
Yeah.
soo idhihi karaa qof ani ha cunin muxuu ahaa canjeeraha cun ma dhihi karo qof
Don't eat a camel, man.
hilib ari ha cunin iyo
Camel,
geel ha
yeah.
cunin iyo ma dhihi karo but leenaa jiro xad baa jiro waxyaalo waxaa jiraan ay bini'aadanka dhan isku raaci karaan inuu yahay wax caadi oo la cuni karo iyo wax Ibn Adi gonna screw out. This is too nasty.
That's according to you is too nasty. Some people might say eating camel is too nasty. But everything is subjective and is up to interpretation and individual perspectives.
That's a political philosophy or
man.
We can get into that. Relativism relativism oo qalad iyo sax waxay ku xiran tahay meesha joogtid. Qalad iyo sax meesha joogtid kuma xirno. Qalad waa qalad, saxna waa sax.
There's nuance, there's gray areas to life.
Ilahuma China joogta ama Somali joogta.
Factors that you have to take in. Listen, all I know is that how it happened is not the point. We're here now. What's happening to the world right now is a perfect storm of things to happen. People are home. They're jobless. They have no money. People are getting evicted from their homes. There's a crisis. And on top of all of that, there's social issues that the country is grappling with that's bleeding into other areas of the world. That something terrible happened in Minneapolis. It may have been the straw that broke the camel's back, but why is it bleeding over into other areas of the country or even other nations that have nothing to do with America? It's like a trickle-down effect. If there was no coronavirus, there would not be this much chaos over.
You're right.
It's just a domino effect. And that's what I think.
You're absolutely right.
It's all connected.
Coronavirus waxyaalo badan ay sahal ka dhigtay muxuu ahaa like protestiga camal sahal ka dhigtay inay dadka maanta oo banaanka u soo baxaan sababta shaqo ma haystaan.
Yeah, there's nothing anybody's doing. What do you want them to do? They're home, they're bored, you lock them out, you told them not to go to work. But the funny thing is, and I'm going to say this until I run out of breath. These elites, man. These people in positions of power, whatever, they got to go, man. This is like, it's ridiculous. Okay? The rules that they want to apply to us do not apply to them. Nancy Pelosi told everybody stay home, put on a mask, quit your jobs, don't go to public places. She's caught going to a hairdresser with no mask. Conservatives might use that as a point against the left. And I just see it as an elite doing what elites do, man. Rules don't apply to me.
Dadkan oo maamulka hayaan Mareykan ha ahaato, Ingiriiska ha ahaadaan, Somali ha ahaato, adduunka meesha ha ahaado. Dadka maamulka hayaan sharciga iyaga ma raacaan. Sharciga iyaga kuma xirno, ummadda kale ku xiran tahay. Sharciga hadda qaarkood soo saareen coronavirus oo ku saabsan. Ingiriiska waxaa maqlay London, dawladda sharci waxay soo saartay leeyihiin 6 qof ka badan iskuma imaan karaan hal meel. Sababta coronavirus ka cabsanayna. Okay, 6 qof hadii isku imaanin, 5 qof isku imaadaan. Okay way ku leeyihiin 5 qof okay way.
And by what metric?
7 qof hadii gaarto arinta coronavirus wuxuu bilaabaa inuu dadka
That's when it starts.
Waxaan ugu akhrinayaan marka coronavirus dadku fiirina xaafadda markuu soo galo wuxuu fiirina meel qof meeshan joogan.
Hadii 6 qof joogan. But 6 is my time. It's my time to shine.
Why 6? Why not 5? Why not, you know? So sharciyaal waxay la imaadeen oo science wax ay science tahay habeeraatay ma jirto ma aha science waxay ka dhiganayaan science inay tahay sciences ay ku leeyihiin 6 feet in la kala maqnaado. Why not 7 feet? maxay ahaan waasay kala fogaanshaha 7 feet and 6 feet.
What's the basis of it all?
Plus say iskaga ilaalin kartaa wax aanan arki karin aanan u jeedin. The only I agree with horta is ilaalintu waa I agree. I'm not going to say horta mask waa muhiim waa in mask la xirto. muhiim waa in la kala fogaado. muhiim waa in muxuu ahaa important waa in maxaa kale gacmaha in la dhaqdo. waxaas dhan waa important. xanuunkan waa xanuun serious ah.
Absolutely. You don't want to make it seem light.
laakiin markii la dhahoyo 6 feet waa qasab 6 feet. qasab baa 6 feet. It can be 7 feet. It can be 8 feet. It doesn't have to be 6 feet.
It lessens the attack. But coronavirus is a lengthy topic that it interweaves so many facets of life. I know there's economics involved, there's politics involved, there's left-leaning, right-leaning, so many different people involved in it. But my opinion, there's no accident, man. There's no such thing, man.
Who do you think and coronavirus and 5 years from now, shan sano kadib, dawladaha adduunka and coronavirus shan sano kadib, dawladaha oo ka soo bixi doonaan iyagoo xoog leh oo xaaladooda before corona iyo after corona xaaladooda fiicnaatay iyo kuwa xaaladooda xumaatay iyo kula tahay China iyo Mareykan tusaalo
It's-
waa labada
yeah.
waa labada wadan adduunka
Yeah.
hadeer
It's a good question. I think that there's no winners in this situation, but what coronavirus did is like it disrupted the status quo. There's no way going back to the way things were. As
Right.
far as like, there's many people who are working from home permanently. Like nobody's gonna work in an office anymore. There's so many things that we took for granted that were established facets of our lives, and that now we are learning to live without it. And we're okay. We're surviving. Human beings can adapt, and that's what we're learning that we have to do. But all I'm saying is that this coronavirus, it changed the world, and there's no
it did.
way to go back to the way things were. You know,
muxuu ahaa horta hore no you're right you're absolutely right and winners you losers ma jirayaan laakiin aniga waxay ila tahay 5 years from now dowladda adduunka laga dambeyn doono oo muxuu ahaa when it comes to dhaqaalaha and power of economy
yeah.
lacagtooda iyo awoodooda China noqon doontaa Mareykan is going to be secondary Mareykan
If this guy gets reelected, yeah.
Mareykan coronavirus
Yeah.
muxuu ahaa xaaladda aad iyo aad u xumaysay
Yeah.
marka and maxaa la dhihi jiray it made it worse
Yeah.
we had
Absolutely.
we have who you call it Trump oo already ahaa muxuu ahaa
Loose
qof
cannon,
oo
loose cannon.
xaaladda kala gedgediyey
Yeah.
oo wax kasta upside down ka dhigay
Yeah, psycho, man.
but coronavirus Mareykan made in muxuu ahaa so far how much lacagta ay bixiyeen dowladda Mareykan and sanadkan kaliya lacag oo 2 trillion ku dhow trillion intaasoo trillion ah
Man.
moogtahay
But what
oo-
did the people see that money?
oo deen ah
Did the
dowladda
peop-
Mareykan
Ah.
deen ay gashay 6 trillion and
But
hadda
they-
ku jirtaa
Okay, but that money that you're talking about, 6 trillion, did that money go to the citizens, or did it go to SBA loans? for
SBA dowladaha and
Trump's,
companyyaasha
Trump's friends. Why
Yeah.
is Kanye West getting $6 million or whatever of subsidies in SBA loans? Or
Ah.
why is companies who are already established versus small businesses, mom and pops, who are
Ah,
getting
ah.
shut down? None of this shit makes sense, man.
right
It's listen.
you're right no aniga waxa ku dhawayaa
Ah.
it doesn't matter where it went to
Yeah,
but either way dowladda is already on a negative
already.
sanadka and I heard muxuu ahaa I can't remember but lacagta oo canshuurta iyo dowladda Mareykan ay qaado taxes
Yeah.
they absolutely didn't collect any taxes this year
yeah.
sanadkan taxes so far the only taxes they collected is probably muxuu ahaa
As they should. They shouldn't collect
waxyaalo
any
yar yar.
taxes.
but lacagtii bixiyana ka badan soo maha
Yeah.
so you combine that with next year xaaladda sida noqonayso sanad kusii xigo China economy is already picking back up
Yeah.
it's China's
'Cause
economy is already
They're producers and they're the
they're
world's
supplying
factory.
and
They're supplying the
mask
world.
iyagaa
Yeah,
darooyin.
yeah.
si hadda u fiirisid is crazy
There's a lot of things.
coronavirus iyagoo ka imaaday
And
lacagtan iyagaa ka subinooyin
and you think there's no conspiracy, bro? It's all in
how
there,
does
man.
that work
It's all in there, man.
how is it that China adaa coronavirus keentay
Before
mask
coronavirus,
iyo mask iyo hand sanitizers oo gacmaha iskaga dhaqan adaa naga gadaysid tuugaa taha cun
before coronavirus, all that was in the news was Wuhan and the Uyghur people in China, and then all of a sudden coronavirus hit, and we didn't hear about
buuqa kale iyo wixii dhici jira
anything to do with the Uyghurs and anything like that. It just went all under the rug.
may
But
China
to your topics,
China
Yeah.
ilaahay horta hor hanaga qabto ilaahay faa'iidadeena hana soo gaarsiiso ilaahay faa'iidada hana soo gaarsiiyo China muxuu ahaa waa dowladdu waxaa waaye maasha Allah and communism I'm not for communism man I'm telling you
we can have a philosophical debate.
that's
about-
another topic
I'm not. I'm not.
next
I'm not
episode.
down for any government, any philosophies.
no government
No government, man.
waa ma baadiyaha ku noolaanaysaa
Listen,
no government kulaha
here's the thing, man. Okay, here's the reality about the nature of human existence. Okay, you didn't ask to be here. I didn't ask to be here. As
Okay.
far as I know, nobody in this world specifically asked to be born here.
صح
But you're here. You get here.
صح
You're expected to pay taxes. You're expected to work. You're expected to contribute to society. And if you
True.
don't, you're fucking you're a bum. You're this. You're that.
Ah.
And you're a waste man. But somebody a long time ago decided to say, hey, I'm going to cut this tree down, I'm going to make paper out of it, and I'm going to put some special ink on it, and I'm going to say this has more value and worth than a human life. And we all just bought it. We just bought it like, oh yeah, it's true, man.
No, order إلهي هنا بدباديو إلهي محوها خير كانوا سو قارسيو شركنا هناجا فوقيو. And the other topic أربنا كهذا المانتي before we head out for the day. وأنت another thing or 2020 دعي American and special American and
I feel like we're recapping the year like 2020 is done but we still have like 4 months or something like
election night we're going to be live here
like
with you guys
October November December
November 3rd somehow election night
I don't follow politics like that, man.
What are you talking about? Having election we're going to be live right here.
There's no point. Left, right, you're given 2 choices. Either you go red or blue. It's like America split into gangs. There's not even a third party candidate or anything like that. You're told, listen, how many millions of thousands of politicians are out there, okay? And you mean to tell me the only options you have are 2 white men in their 70s?
No, I agree. That's
one of them got dementia or some shit. The other guy. So all these politicians, all these fascinating, amazing people who can affect real change, AOC, whoever, left and right. On the right side and the left side, people who can affect change and do good for the country. You mean to tell me all of those people, you're just going to wash over them and elect more of the same?
And Donald Trump.
I'm not saying protest. I'm not saying don't vote. I'm not saying whatever. But just use your brain, man.
No, vote Donald Trump 2020. That's my advice for people.
I don't support that.
Why you don't support that? سؤال.
I don't support Trump.
We're going off topic but we're going to get back to our topic.
It's the only way to go.
We're going to get back to our topics. But سؤال, why are Trump ugu soo horjeeda? Why are you against Trump?
Am I personally against Trump?
Yeah.
Okay. Why I'm against Trump is
dhibku adiga ku soo gaarsiiyay dhibku adiga shakhsi ahaan you as Muhammad
I can answer it clearly for
Donald Trump dhibku ku soo gaarsiiyay
I can answer it clearly for you. To be an effective leader, not just of a country, forget a country, just to be an effective leader in any group of friends, freaking classroom, school, whatever, just to be an effective leader, you need to be impartial, you need to be fair, you need to be looking at things in a practical, logical way. Okay?
True.
When you're presented with a catastrophe, when you're presented with an accident or something terrible that happens, you as a leader need to take that opportunity to go above and beyond to unify people. This guy has had hundreds of accidents happen in his presidency. He's had Charlottesville happen. He's had George Floyd protests happen. He's had hurricanes. He's had all these accidents happen in his term, okay? And instead of unifying the country, instead of being the leader of a nation and speaking in a practical term, all he does is fucking divide people.
Wow.
So whether I'm right, whether I'm left, somebody like that, I don't fucking
Okay. Donald Trump. I'm not a huge supporter of Donald Trump.
I know you're not. You're just messing with me, but still.
But لكن waxaa rabaa dadka markii Donald Trump waa ka soo horjeedna markii dhihiyaan in saahada aad u fasirta amal inay u fasiraan. There's a lot of people who iska dhihiyaan Donald Trump waa ka soo horjeedna oo ku ordiyaan Joe Biden inuu yahay malaa'ig ma aha waa shaytaan kale.
They're both shaytaan. They're both
Joe Biden waa shaytaan kale. Aniga if you actually ask me
that's why I voted for Bernie. Twice.
Bernie was separate. Yes. Bernie is ولد عاد هو وداعد. He doesn't belong in this conversation. وحوها لكن صاحبك Trump a lot of reason dadka American u doorteen and I believe we're going to be live inshallah November 3rd and I believe mar labaad loo dooran doono is because they don't like wuxuu dhahoyo iyo siduu u hadlo but waxay ka cabsanayaan xisbiga dimuqraadiga waxyaalaha ay keeni doonaan waxay ka cabsanayaan muxuu ahaa tusaalo tax anshurtooda lagu badiyo
these liberal cities who are burning down
waxyaalo badan ay ka cabsanayeen marka Donald Trump wuxuu u arkaan qof oo horta hore Supreme Courtiga u ilaalinayo is going to assign Supreme Courtiga wuxuu siinaa conservative qof oo diinta iyo dhaqanka ka dambeeyo
Even though we're not supposed to be a religious country, but yeah, yeah.
You can say that, but
Yeah, we're
people
not
are still religious.
we're not
Moroccan is
supposed
one
to
of the
be.
most religious.
We're not supposed to be though. You're not.
We're not supposed to be. The reality is different.
It
You're right.
is, but what I'm
Yeah.
telling you, the fact is, we're not supposed to be. That's a fact.
Constitution wuxuu dhahaa
We're not
dowladda
supposed
iyo-
to be.
dowladda iyo diinta hala kala saaro.
Yes.
You're right. But it's impossible. Human beings are leeyahay. Diinta oo lagu xiran yahay.
Yeah.
Gaal iyo Muslim ba hala
Yeah.
ahaado.
Yeah.
Christians, American evangelicals,
But we're not supposed
powerhouse waay.
to be. We're not,
Muxuu
so-
ahaa diintooda way ku xiran yihiin. You're right. We're not
we're not
supposed
supposed to be.
But I'm saying
That's
aniga,
not what the founding fathers wanted.
but the founding father said people vote for you what you want.
Yeah.
So ma, they're electing somebody oo muxuu ahaa dhahoy diintiina ni ilaalina religious freedom.
Question, bro. I don't even want to talk about that. I'm getting a headache
You know
just
what I mean?
talking about this nigga, bro.
So, okay, we're gonna conclude
Yeah.
Donald Trump, but people have to have a conversation or deep. markii ka
Not
hadlayaan
really.
xisbiga
Not really.
Democratic
I
and
can,
xisbiga
I can,
Republican.
I can articulate myself and give you a laundry list of reasons why I don't f with Trump or anybody who supports Trump. I can give you logical, fantastic arguments about why that is. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's not worth it, bro.
Yeah.
I just tell him f that. Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
you
Who do
know?
you think? Okay, who do you think is gonna win?
Trump is gonna win.
Trump is gonna win.
Trump is going to win. The
Uh,
simple fact Trump is going to win is, number one, he's already sowed the seeds of the election is rigged already. The mail system is not right. People should vote twice. This guy, man, he just sows the seeds of dissent within his own government, and he's going to get reelected just based on
I
that.
think so too. I
Yeah.
think so too.
No,
And Trump waa la dooran doonaa mar
you
labaad.
already-
And war haddaa laamiga haddaa maraysid, highwayga haddaa maraysid, Maraykan,
Yeah.
and aan ka ahayn magaalooyinka waaweyn, Minneapolis, Chicago, any kind of a metro area aan ka ahayn, waxaa arkaysaa
Yeah,
calanka
politics.
Donald
yeah,
Trump
yeah,
meel kasta
I
saaran.
freaking passed like 10 signs on my way over here, man.
Yeah.
Never coming back over here, bro. one hour drive just for freaking Trump signs. But no,
Yeah.
politics, we can talk about it for hours. The next topic, man, because Trump
What's
is
the next topic? The next topic,
You wanted to talk
as we
about-
started earlier,
you wanted to talk
and
about-
topic ugu dambeeya kusoo
Yeah.
xirayno waxaa
the
waaye
closing topic.
and saaxiibka Allah u naxariisto
Allah
gaal u ahaa.
You can
Galo
still say
aha.
Allah Nahris, right?
No.
Why not?
ilaahay khair has ma dhihi karno ma u ducayn karti qof gaal ah oo dhintay ma u ducayn karti brother dadkiisa u ducayn kartaa dadkiisa waxaa dhihi kartaa ilaahay sabri iimaan haniga siiyo ama sabr haniga siiyo
I
waa
don't
dhihi
know,
kartaa
man.
ilaahay inigana hani soo hadiyaa dhihi kartaa laakiin qof gaal dhintay oo ku dhintay gaalnimo ma
How do you
ducayn
know
kartid.
Galo didn't?
How do you know
How do you know?
that's a very good question how do you know but you
We don't even know. He could have been saying Shahada right
you-
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know but anyways
I digress.
I digress muxuu ahaa su-aasha meesha taal waxaa waaye George Floyd nin miskiin uu iska ahaa oo iska dadaaloyo oo iska inuu dadaaloyo in kale ma ogeen ba laakiin
Yeah.
yani iska shaqaysanayo oo
Yeah.
sigaar iska soo qaatay
Yeah.
lacag fake ku
20
bixiyey
over that didn't turn out to be fake.
lacag fake
That-
aheeda maqle
It didn't turn out to be fake. It turned out to be just regular money. It was a regular
dukaanku
check.
galanayo qof muslim iska lahaa
Qof Muslim Askala, and it wasn't even the owner, but it was an employee. Listen, it's a long story.
booliis ugu
There's so
waceen
many specifics.
booliiska amaaday
It's just and
Minneapolis
and then a fucking idiot
qoortiisu ku istaagay
for 8 minutes.
Yeah.
8 minutes and some odd seconds. It's a terrible
Waa
story.
wax
It's a
bini'aadanimada ka baxsan
Yeah.
marmar waxaad dhehaysaa dadkan yani ma bini'aadanimada dhan waa ka baxsan tahay waa yani xayawaan caadi ah animal caadi ah waay
that officer. That
ha
officer.
officerka yeah booliiskaaga oo dilay muxuu ahaa George Floyd marka kolebo magaalada kolebo muxuu ahaa Minnesota waa joognaa kulligeen see kula tahay xaaladda maxaa artay ana horta xafiiska ka shaqeynaya xafiiska waxaa la dhahay protesta dhacday xafiiska laftigiisa in la soo galaa dhici karto ha lagu kala yaaco meesha
Really? You got evacuated?
evacuated from the whole building dadka xagee marayeen mataqaanaa dadka xagee marayeen mataqaanaa 2 miles away probably 3 miles away mana dhaweyn cabsi daraaddeeda Minneapolis Lake Street dhan waa la kala gediyey muxuu ahaa
You know what the sad thing is though about these protests that I find sad about it all? The whole thing is about this, okay? All of this is brought on by just people fighting to say the terms Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter should not be a controversial statement.
right,
Just the sentence Black Lives Matter.
right
It's a simple fact. For you, as a human being, to look at that statement and for you to try to dissect it and try to say, hey, well, what does that person mean about that? No, all lives matter. No, what about this? What about that? you have to first take it as what would make somebody come to the conclusion of saying Black Lives Matter? Is it maybe because at this particular time in history, Black lives are the ones that are being disproportionately attacked? Is it maybe something that leads people to say that? Or are you just going to be defensive and say, no, all lives, I just think all of these riots, all of these protests that are happening throughout the country, it may have started off on the Black Lives Matter tip, but with any black movement, I feel like it gets hijacked by a lot of different third-party people,
yes,
and people who want ulterior motives. And I don't understand. I know I'm gonna talk a little bit, get off tangent, but I don't like the fact that personally, we might have a Black Lives Matter movement, but then other groups will latch on to that movement and try and have their voices heard in that particular setting. Like they'll say trans black rights or gay black rights or somebody else. Like we can try and focus on one thing at a time. But yeah, I get it. At the end of the day, I understand everybody wants their voices heard, and people take it as a critical time and moment that they want to all include themselves, and which is beneficial at the end of the day. But at the same time, I would like a little bit more focus. And as far as it affects the Somali community, which I know you're probably going to want to ask, as far as it affects the Somali community, personally, I don't think Somali people have... You are black. You are black in the sense that you're African. If you walk down the street, an average Joe won't tell the difference between you and an African American. You're black in that essence. But the term that I've heard recently and that I like is like ADOS, is African descendant of slaves. It's a separate category. It's African Americans who are descendants of slaves. It's a whole criteria that Somali people don't fit into because we didn't go through slavery. We didn't go through Jim Crow laws. We didn't suffer the way African Americans suffered. So for us to personally claim African Americans, everybody wants to be black. Everybody wants to be African, but nobody wants to go through the actual struggles of it. And for you to piggyback on it and say, yo, I'm black, I'm Somali, blah, 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 it seems very disingenuous. And I would like Somali people to acknowledge that and understand people's struggle.
You actually pointing us and is interesting. Horta, going back, and I'll give you my and so ufahamsanahay arintan and Black Lives Matter iyo George Floyd protestiga and mudaharaadka ka dhacday kadib. Horta dadka dhiyaan Black Lives Matter hadalka keenayaan waa cadaan cunsuri ah hadalka keeno. All life matter markay dhiyaan waa cunsurinimo lay ka tahay. Somaha sababta qofka haduu dhahoyo qofkan madowga ee xuquuqdiisa waa important and kuma dhahoyo adiga xuquuqda important ma aha. Wuxuu ku dhahoyaa kaliya
you're assuming that
mogtaa marka cadaanka cunsuriga bisa ka soo horjeedo. Balaakiin muxuu ahaa arintan aniga ra'yiga qabo oo media iyo badana ay ka hadleen waxa waaye dadka madowga Mareykan ma aha madowga saa u kala saartay. You're absolutely right. Soomaalida iyo Afrikaanka immigrantiga Nigerianka, Liberianka, Ethiopianka immigrant oo Afrikaan dhan oo Mareykan imaaday 30 sano la soo dhaafay 50 sano la soo dhaafay iyo dadkan 400 sano ka hor Mareykan lagu gumaysanayay slave ka ahaayeen isku mid ma aha. Isku xaalad kuma jiraan. In la isku darana waa qalad. maanta xataa economic iyo educational iyo social dhinac kasto isku mid kama aha. dadka immigrantiga waa ka lacag badan yihiin dadka Mareykanka and African American ka ahaayeen oo 400 sano joogeen.
Even some Adam people too.
And we ka caafimaad badan yihiin. Waxaasna waxa keenayo dadka Afrikaanka iyo immigrant kasto ha ahaado kan China ka imaaday, kan Africa ka imaaday, kan Europe ka imaaday. Immigrant kasto Mareykan wuxuu la imaadaa asagoo communitygiisa, reerkiisa, dadkiisa isku xiran yihiin. dhaqanku wadankiisa ku lahaa oo Mareykan la imaadaa. Sanadooyinka ugu horeeyo way isla shaqeeyaan, way iscaawinaan. Dawladda ka hor iyaga iscaawinayaan. caawinaanta dawladda kaga imaato waxay u tahay extra
as a
bonus u tahay. Haddii iyaga meel isgaarsiinayaan, iyaga meel isgaarsiinayaan. Ciyaalka iyaga ku qasbiyaan inay iskuul aadaan. dowladda intii dhihi lahayd dowladda programyaal ay haysataa ay dadka ku dhiirigeliso in iskuul la aado in wax la barto laakiin before dowladda bo hooyada iyo aabihii iyo adeerkii iyo abtigii
pushes and forces the kid
inay iskuul aadaan soo maaha African Americanka taas ma haystaan African Americanka isbedel waxay ka sugooyiin inuu karka imaato isbedelka inuu ka imaato dhinaca dowladda
it's not good to generalize or stereotype but I get what the point you're trying to make
exactly I'm not absolutely there is wax kasto ma aha general ma jiro but like we're talking about the majority we're talking about waxa soo baxooyo oo la og yahay oo la maqlooyo yes there is African American oo kamid ah dadka oo awoowayaashooda 400 sano ka hor meeshan joogi jireen that are doing very good Obama kamid ah soo ma right
but
Obama is one of them
Obama's another one look Obama's another one okay this is another I'm glad you brought up Obama this is another one okay Obama isn't African American
ma African American
he's not African American he's not ADOS
hooyadiisa soo
his mom is white his dad is Kenyati
so he's not technically ma
he's not African descendant of slaves so why would African Americans Obama took care of every other nationality in America when it came to policies, changes, helping them out, doing things. I personally think African Americans got a shitty deal with Obama.
Yeah, no, you're right.
He didn't.
You're right. Says that Ufiri said, "Ma African American."
He's a great guy. Good job. Drone strikes and all that shit. Good job. But still, he didn't help out the African American community as much as people are hyping him up.
Right. No, that's a very good point.
African descendants of slaves, man.
That's African descendants.
They don't even have a designation. The UN, the United Nations, does not even recognize African American as a designation in order for them to receive reparations as like the Jewish people and other groups of people. They cannot go and say, okay, hey, this happened to you. We're sorry. We're gonna fund you. We're gonna help you out. But they can't even do that because at what designation can they say this person is an African American? Because they'll look at you and they'll say, Muhammad, you're African and you're an American. You're African American. But you did not go through the struggles that an African descendant of slaves went through. So that designation alone, African Americans need to sit down, have a long, and it's already happened. The conversations are happening. They're happening amongst African Americans where they're sitting down, they're putting up a list of what classifies you as an African American.
That's a very good.
And once they get that down, it's going to be beautiful.
That's a very good starting point. In la kala sooco hadda maanta hada shaqo buuxinaysid hada school aadaysid hada arji ama form nooc kasta ha ahaado hada buuxinaysid waxa ku qoran yaa tahay ma white ba tahay ma Hispanic a tahay ma African American a tahay mise other African American dhan waa isku daray African American waxa hoos imaanaysa Somali Nigerian Ethiopian and kii inta awowgiisa 400 sano slave ahaa wixii dhan baa isku imaanayso you're absolutely right
so what distinction can you make man
yes dadkaas xaaladooda gooni waaye and 5 years ago not 5 years ago a year ago Somali badan oo liberal iyo democratic iska dhigayaan oo yani iska dhigayaan dad oo wax fahamsan waxay ku qeylin jireen dadka Soomaalida dhigayaan aniga ma ihi African American see u dhehaysaa wariyaa see u dhehaysaa ilaa wariyaa African American aad tahay wariyaa ninka cadaanka markuu ku fiirinayo African American la u tahay
which is true it is true
but here's the question think deeply about this do you see yourself through the eyes of the white guy
me personally as Muhammad or as a Somali
the person that says qofka dhahoyo su'aashu wuxuu ku aadisan tahay qofka dhahoyo and qofka Soomaaliga oo dhahoyo Soomaaliya say u diidi kartiin African American manihin say u dhihi kartiin because cadaanka markuu ku fiirinayo wuxuu ku dhahoyaa
you're just black like anybody
black like African American ka camal tahay ma adduunka aragtidaada marka waxa isku fiirinaysaa cadaanka soo wax u fiirima wax u fiirinaysaa are you seeing yourself through the eyes of the white person or you're seeing yourself through your own eyes so if you see yourself through your own eyes dhehaysid aniga iskeyga ana isku fiirinayo ana wax igama galan cadaankan wuxuu sidoo ii arkayo
you have pride in yourself
then you see yourself as Somali distinct from the African American person who has been here for 400 years
but there's a line
and who has been here for 400 years who sidaa dhahday you said it faced so many challenges that you did not face as a
Yeah.
Somali person.
Yes.
Ma lagu gumaysan sidii loo gumaystay.
Yeah.
Dadkan magacooda la tirtiray.
Yeah.
Muxuu ahaa
They're excluded from participating in society.
Ha.
They were rejected from home ownership. They
waa
were
la
rejected from
baabi'iyey.
generational
Waa la
wealth.
baabi'iyey.
A lot of shit. Man.
Baabi'iskaas
A
dhan
lot of
dhinac
shit.
dhig.
Yeah. But you benefited from the civil rights movement. You're
Civ-
able.
civil
You as a
rights-ka faa'iidooyinka
you
keeneen
as a Somali are
oo
able
Maraykan
to
imaaday,
to
Somali
walk.
American.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
able to
I
walk
agree.
around. Yeah.
I agree. But a year ago, my point is, a year ago, I
Yeah.
was hearing a lot of Somali people.
How dare you say
oo
you're
dhihayaan
not
see u
African?
dhihi kartaa African American ma ihi.
Okay.
Cadaanka wuxuu ku moodaa adigina African American. War ani cadaanka maxay u
But
celcelinaysaa?
no, Fidi.
Cadaanka wuxuu wax u arko. Maxaa iga galay?
But there's two sides to the argument, right?
Ah.
The one side of the argument is yes, you have every right to say how I don't identify as African American, right?
Ha.
But there's one person that is on my side who agrees that by saying I'm African American, I'm black, I'm taking something away from the people who sacrificed and who that term it belongs to. I don't want to take that away from them because they sacrificed and faced hardships that I didn't have to
That's
face
what I'm saying.
as people. Okay, there's
that's-
that side of people, but there's also, let's not lie to each other, there's also one camp, another side who say they're not African American because they're racist and they don't like Malo people and jirer kanet and
Wajra.
there's people who say that who try to
Wajra.
distance themselves
Ah.
from anything black,
Ah.
anything African, and
Cunsurinimada ma
that's,
fiicno.
and that's not exclusive to
Ah.
Somali people.
Ah.
That's in Nigeria. That's in
Ah,
Ghana.
ah.
That's in most African countries.
Ah.
For a fact, they look down on or they belittle or demean African Americans who grew up here,
Which
in
is
the
not
cur-
good.
Which
Yes,
is not
I
good.
agree, I agree.
And that is just, again, back to my conspiracies. That's just another tool that the elites use to divide us amongst each other. There's no real classification or distinction between us. We're all
Ah.
human beings. We're all
Ma
people.
horta hore.
It's fucked up.
Okay, I'll give an excuse to the dadka oo aan dhahday the
Racist, عادي,
Nigerian
bro.
the Nigerian
Racist.
person who's a Somali person or
Black
dhahoyo.
people can be racist.
Yes, of course, I agree.
There's some
I
people
agree.
who say black people can't be racist.
cannot be racist.
There's some people who say black people cannot be racist.
غلط واحد.
Because
Qof
in
kasta
order
cunsur uu noqon
in order
karaa.
for you to be racist, you have to have some institutional power in order to direct it.
No.
But you can be racist, man.
You can be racist. There's anybody can
To
be
yourself
racist.
and to your own people,
Aha.
you can be racist.
And لكن cudurdaara u suubinaa dadka Afrikaanka Soomaalida Nigerianka oo Mareykan mar dhow imaadeen oo dhihayaan anaga African American manihin because waa ka duwannahay. Cudurdaarkaasina waxa waaye haddaad joogtid Soomaaliya, Ethiopia, anywhere in Africa, dadka iskuma fiiriyaan cadaan iyo madow iskuma
Because
fiiriyaan.
everybody's black there. We're all
Dadka
just
waxay isku
black.
fiiriyaan ethnicities.
Yeah.
Qabiilkee tahay?
Or tribes.
Maasai ma tahay?
Yeah.
Mise waxaa tahay Oromo? Mise Somali?
That's another.
Mise- which is
That's
fine.
another
To me,
classification, man.
It's a better classification to me than blacky white.
Yeah.
To me, classifying people based on origin code iyo meesha ka imaadeen is much better than classifying people and cadaan tahay madow tahay. Mareykanka laftigooda to explain
Okay,
further.
yeah.
Mareykanka laftigooda 1960s 40s in America, yeah, white people used to classify themselves based on meeshuu qofka cadaanka ka imaaday.
Yeah.
Talyaaniga waxaa la dhihi jiray Italian
Yeah.
and Irishka and
Gypsy,
Polishka
gypsies, everybody. Yeah.
and Polishka.
Yeah.
They used to iyaga laftigooda cunsuri isku ahaayeen.
Huh.
They didn't used to
It-
iyaga dhan kulligood
It
isma
wasn't
soo
just
koobi
all
jirin.
one white. You're white.
White,
It was
isma dhihi jirin.
specific. It was specific
Isma dhihi
white.
jirin.
It was
That
a
was
specific type of white.
that is the more natural way.
Mm.
It's okay. I mean, to me, it's okay for people to classify me based on meesha ka imaaday. It's okay for me.
But why would
an-
people
an
classify? What's the
Ethiopian-
point of people classifying you? 'Cause
لتعارفوا.
we come
إلهي
from-
قرآنك
we
إلهي
come-
قرآنك wuxuu ku
Yeah,
dhahay,
to know yourselves.
we created you as إلهي wuxuu dhahay we you know Allah wuxuu dhahay in قرآنك إنا خلقناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا. We've created you nations and tribes
So you may know
so you may know each other.
Yeah.
So Allah already told us, but it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. You can have your nations and tribes only to identify each other. See,
But do we use it to identify with each other, or do we-
walaalka
Prejudice against each other.
qalad waaye.
Yeah,
I
but
agree.
we do that.
Cunsurinimada
We do
qalad
that.
waaye.
We come from Somalia, man. How many qabilas do we do prejudice? Oh, qofkan hebla waay. Cidiisa saan waay.
taas waa qalad. Laakiin waxaa qalad ahayn. I'll explain.
You're painting a picture, a beautiful picture of I just want to know where this person comes from, but the darker side, the human side says they come from this village, they gotta be X,
Yeah.
Y, Z.
Yeah.
They're known for this.
No.
But yeah, this is
You're right, horta hore.
Yeah.
But like let me explain this. And people get this some racism. dadka qalad weyn ay ka fahmaan.
yeah.
Inaad dadkaaga jeclaatid more than qofka shisheeyaha ah. It's not racism. Waxaa racism ah treating someone worse than someone else because they're not in your tribe, because they're not in your ethnicity, nationality gaaga. Taasaa qalad ah. For example, I'll give you tangible example. Dukaana kuu furan kafeeya muxuu ahaa kafeeya gadaa.
Yeah.
Okay, waxaa soo galay qof Soomaali tahay,
صح
waxaa soo galay qof Soomaali ah iyo qof cadaan soo galay iyo qof Afrikaan ah,
صح
Nigerian ah.
صح
saddexdoodaba kii Soomaaliga kafee siisay, Nigerianka kafeegaa siisay, cadaanka waxaa dhahday kafee ma siinaya, cadaanka anaga meesha ma caawino cadaanka anaga.
That's wrong.
That is wrong.
That's wrong.
That's cunsurinimo. I agree. So
That's not good business practice either. You just turned away money.
Set aside business and set aside business. You're right.
Yeah.
Set aside business. cunsurinimo waay.
Yeah.
Waa qalad.
Yes.
qofkaas waxaa ula dhaqantay si qaldan
Qalad,
just
big
because
time.
colorkiisa iyo meeshu ka imaaday.
Yeah.
taas waa qalad. maxaa qalad ahayn kulligood kafeeyaa siiye, kulligood kafeeya dalbadeen waa siiyey shaaxi ama kafeega dalbadeen. qofka Soomaaliga ahaa waa la sii qoslay moor, waa la sii sheekaystay moor. ii waranaa dhahay
But that's
xaaladda ka waran isugu haddee xaaladda ka waran waa u sii qoslay moor. labada kalena I kept it professional. So dhawow, how you doing? Smile still, keeping it professional and smiling. And shaaxooda waa siisay. Some people might consider qofka Soomaaliga ah sheeko dheer u sii gashay iyo qosolka u sii gashay inay tahay racism. That is not racism.
No, that's not racism.
That's not racism. So dadka taas isku qaldaan.
But it is
hadda cadaanka
prejudice.
marka cadaanka Mareykan dhibka haysta ku sheega marka. cadaanka Mareykan dhibka haysta waxa waaye waxay isku qaldooyin war be proud of your cadaannimo. I don't care.
Yeah.
jeclow cadaankaaga. I don't care. maanta dhan ku dikri cadaankayga jeclahay baba ku dikri. I don't care. But the moment you say muxuu ahaa dadka oo cadaan ahayn baa dhibaato u gaarsiina ama leen cusuba u fura ama saan baa siina ama saan baa ka jara ama waxaana ku adkeena, that is racism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So marka and people need to understand that. People need to understand that it's okay to be proud of your people. dadkaaga waa jeclaan kartaa.
Ultimately, you're a human being. There's levels to reality, okay? And this is off topic, but there's levels to reality, okay? The highest reality is that, listen, none of this matters.
Okay.
Your race doesn't matter. You're all gonna die, and
True.
that's reality.
True.
So for you to fixate and to focus on an aspect of your race, it's detrimental to yourself. It sounds very all lives matter of me. I don't see color, but if you want to find peace within yourself, listen, man.
That's true.
Focusing
You're right.
on race and fighting race it's pointless to me, man.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
muxuu ahaa kolebo arrinta George Floyd si fiican uma sii galin laakiin waa ka hadalnay raceka muxuu ahaa.
No, what is there to say about George Floyd? It was, it was
what
a
do you think?
fucking-
What do you think it's headed to? Let's conclude with that. And what do you think?
It was a terrible
the social
murder.
unrestiga dhacday iyo buuqa
They
dhacay
murdered him.
maxaa xal u ah kolebo.
What do you think is going to lead to?
What's the solution? What's the solution? What do you think the solution is?
They need. I'm going to try and say this as serious as I can without making jokes.
Yeah.
What needs to happen? Defund the police.
Liberal.
Defund the police does not mean, hey, take all the money out of the police, let lawless reign supreme. There's not going to be any cops in the streets. 911, stop it. All it means is you're telling me, okay, you can't have it both ways. You're a police chief and you're telling the city council, hey, we're overworked. We don't have the equipment to accurately provide for our local community. Where If somebody gets a cat stuck in a tree, they call the police. If somebody has a mentally ill family member, they call the police. If somebody has a domestic dispute that needs counseling, they call the police. If somebody has a robbery, they call the police. There's so many things that people overwork the police on. California, California published their annual budget that what they spent on for that quarter or that year, right? And it's documented. You can look up the articles. They spent billions of dollars on police, on the LA police department, okay? They spent billions of dollars on it. Public school, education, local community services, a couple thousand.
Yeah.
A couple $1 million. Okay? So when we say defund the police, the term is meant to grab your attention, but what it basically means is take some of those billions out of it. It's not necessary. And use it to accurately fund some of those community services that will help a person like George Floyd. Yeah. George Floyd did not need to be stopped and put on the ground and have his neck for 8.5 minutes.
You're right.
It's fucking ridiculous. That's what I think needs to happen, and that's the only way there's going to be change. And eat the rich.
Eat the rich, whatever that means, man.
Eat the rich.
Okay, I have
simple.
I have another idea, Marka. I have another idea. I disagree with the idea of. I don't disagree with the nuxurka. Fikradda sheegtay defund the police. Nuxurkeeda kama soo horjeedi. Like waxa ka soo horjeeda magaca. Defund the police.
Why are people so fucking obsessed with the names of things? Black Lives Matters, you guys are upset about it. Defund the police, you guys are upset about it.
No.
This is called branding. You wouldn't care about it,
it's wrong
but
branding.
By the name of it, it grabs your attention. Instead of focusing on the fucking name of things, they're tearing down a statue of a Confederate slave owner. I was listening to somebody who was getting angry about how CNN presented Donald Trump's Mount Rushmore speech. They said on CNN, the president is going to speak at Mount Rushmore, a monument of slave owners on stolen land. That's a lot to take in, right? But is there anything false in that statement?
It's not.
Nothing in that statement is false, right?
But وقتيgeeda wax kasta waqtigiisu leeyahay.
wax kasta waqtigu leeyahay. Laakiin
so
we can still talk about
you
it.
You could have fikrad saxsan.
Yeah.
You could have hadal saxsan. You could have fikrad boqolkiiba saxsan. But you could say it to the wrong audience. Waa qaldan tahay fikradaas. To me waa qaldan tahay
because you're not getting your message across. You're not being receptive.
Yes. So defund the police. Ummadda Maraykan waxaa degan waddanka Maraykan waxaa degan 300 plus million people are degan. So maaha?
Yeah.
Almost 100 million are dumb as heck.
Yeah.
Alif iyo ba iyo ta ma kala qori karaan.
Astaghfirullah.
Wallahi, no,
you're elitist. You're elitist with your education and your handwriting and grammar and language.
No, man. It's a factual statement. Maybe it's not exactly 100 million, but there is millions. Yeah. I'm just estimating there's millions.
That's just your privilege talking.
Or xaaladooda xun tahay when it comes to intellect.
Yeah.
When it comes to intellect. Kama hadlooyo lacag iyo
we're all idiots, man. Yeah.
Intellect ahaan. So markii kuwaas ay maqlayaan and they have the power to vote.
Yeah.
So dadkaas marka when they hear defund the police waa cabsanaa qofka right away wuxuu leeyahay okay these liberals are now
they done gone too far this time.
Exactly. hillbilly mal lahaa and it's gonna be worried.
Yeah, they're gone down.
wuxuu leeyahay beri mid madow ay imaanayo xabadeenayo booliiska u cilhaana ima imaanayaan.
Listen,
I actually saw Haysin and one of Trump's
those ads are fucking scary,
ads,
bro. Those ads are fucking scary.
Do you see the one that says hello, you reached 911. No one is here to accept your call.
They try to scare you so much.
It's like, logical. It's logical. You can't blame Trump. Trump is smart. He's street smart. People have different kind of smartness.
He's not street. He's not any type of smart, bro.
Let me explain. And we call him smart.
Book smart.
Book smart. جامعتي أذن حسابتي سبعة وشقيان smart. dad waxaa jiro iskuulka damku doqonku waxba ka ogeyn laakiin nolosha iyo jidka markii la dhaho ilaamiga markii la dhaho kii iskuulka ka soo baxay PhD gu gadi karaa ilaamiga ku gadi karaa because they're street smart. Donald Trump is street smart. He knows how to change things, how to move things around si uu dantiisa u helo markuu maqlooyo kuwa liberal dhihayaan defund the police wuxuu og yahay Maraykan inay degan yihiin dad badan oo caqli lahayn oo markay maqlaan defund the police cabsanayaan
cabsidaasuu sii dhiirigelinaa si asaga mar labaad loo doorto, which is logical. If I was his advisor, I would tell him to do that. I would tell him
Politicians shouldn't.
take advantage of these
Yeah.
liberals
Shouldn't.
and their wrong marketing. They're using defund the police. Like I said, I agree with the notion. I agree with the concept. Iyo nuxurka and arinta defund the police. Police-ka in laga wareejiyo maamulka iyo mas'uuliyadda saaran oo qaarkood wax caafimaad oo loo wareejiyo dadka social workers-ka iyo dadka isbitaalada ka shaqeeyaan. Soo maaha? I totally agree with that. But don't say defund the police. Say make the
So
police
your problem,
better.
okay? So
Make the police great.
So your first of all, Trump is an idiot.
Yeah.
There's nothing smart about Trump. He's just a full-blown,
smart. You
full-blown
gotta.
idiot. He's a guy.
you gotta give it-
He's
give-
a guy
give
that
focus to happy
basically
business
just the epitome of doing nothing and getting everything. Okay. Language. First of all, politicians, their whole point, their whole shaqqa is for them to get reelected. Okay? That's their whole mission. That's their whole point. That's their whole purpose. They're going to say and do whatever they need to do in order for them to get reelected and in order for them to further their own agenda. Bottom line. Simple as that. The left-leaning, right-leaning, it doesn't matter. You as a citizen, as a functioning citizen, you need to try and work on yourself and try and become more independent. First of all, we literally, as a society, we're going to wrap up the conversation here, but as a society, more of my conspiracy talk is basically we've been reduced. They separated us from our food. They separated us from our independence. They separated us from so many aspects of what makes you a human. Right now, can you go and, if you're an animal lover, meat eater, can you go and kill your own animal and chop up its meat and do a certain thing?
Yes. Yes,
you have to
can.
have certain licenses. You have certain areas. Certain things have to be clean. And if you choose to sell that meat, you have to follow certain FDA regulations and laws. Okay. What makes these people in power for them to do that to you?
Okay, because you need dawladda u baahan tahay.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
All the time.
The whole premise of the United States, if you follow the founding fathers that you claim to love so much, if you follow the founding fathers, right, and you choose to follow their example, all of them were terrorists. George Washington was a terrorist.
But he was a philosopher as well.
Philosophical terrorist.
Muxuu ahaa and horta aniga kama dambeeyay founding fathers and aniga kama
Trump
dambeeyay.
support, it's okay.
I could be Trump supporter. I agree with Trump on so many things. I disagree with him on so many things. I'm not the kind of person
Wrap it up, man.
Me qof dhahoy aniga and I don't think sidii xisbiga dimuqraadiga ay rabaan inaan u fakiro. Xisbiga dimuqraadiga doesn't tell me how to think. Donald Trump waxyaalo badan oo
So
ku
Donald
fiican
Trump
yahay.
tells you what to think.
No.
The Republicans tell you what to think.
No.
I mean, if the Democrats aren't,
Okay, that's how people think
that's
nowadays.
assumption, man.
Dadka saas
If
u
the
fikiraan.
left doesn't, the right doesn't. Since you have a left hemisphere of the brain, right hemisphere of the brain, that's the
Right.
only way it works.
Yeah.
Listen, man, be independent, eat the rich.
That's
go.
exactly. Be independent.
Yeah, that's it.
Be an independent thinker. The independent thinker tahay. Donald Trump waxa u arkaysaa qof
It's a fucking idiot.
not
It's
completely.
a fucking complete
Donald Trump
and
waxa u
utter
arkaysaa
idiot,
qof-
bro. There's no redeeming quality in Donald Trump. He is a fool. He is an idiot.
No
He
man,
is,
you got that wrong.
He is actually the greatest danger to the world because he has the nuclear launch codes, and for any reason he can just push the button for somebody complaining about his
He
looks.
sent you. He
For
sent you
example-
1,200 check.
I never got it. I never got it. Where's my check?
And you talking
Where's
like
my
that?
I never got a
You-
check.
you
I actually, for
ungrateful.
the first time in my life, I went to my tax guy when I was paying my taxes. This motherfucker told me, "Yo, you're middle class now. You're middle class now. You have to pay money back." In that moment, I was like, "Oh, now I know what the Republicans are talking about." I had to pay like $500 back. So I was like,
And
"Fuck
Donald
this shit."
Trump. And Donald Trump. 1,200k right away.
I never got it.
No
I never
delay
got
whatsoever.
it. Where's my check?
And
I didn't get it.
He included a letter.
No.
He
Okay.
included a
For how
letter.
long have we been? How long have we been in this crisis, bro? How long have we been in this crisis? Okay. You got that one-time $1,200 check
With the letter. With the letter.
With the letter.
Yes.
With the letter.
That says. That says.
Thank you for your service, because he knows how
he
you like
says-
to talk
he says,
about
You
him.
know, I am Donald Trump. I
Man,
worry about
this
you.
nigga,
I worry
bro.
about my citizens.
Fuck out of here,
Anyways,
man. Anyway,
we had
man.
fun and mashallah, this is the first episode of many episodes to come inshallah. waxaa wadaynaa usbuuc kasto ilaa November 3rd habeenka muxuu ahaa electionka Mareykan ka dhici doonto Donald Trump versus Joe Biden haweenkaas live baa ahaan doona insha Allah
Dementia versus dyslexic.
ha
That's all it is.
saart u dhig muxuu ahaa kolaba haweenkaas live baa ahaan doona we're gonna take your calls insha Allah ilaa laga gaari doono khayr badan baan idin rajaynaynaa. Assalaamu calaykum waraxmatullaahi wabarakaatuh.